Hello, YouTube community. It's Robert S., and welcome back to Robscure Music. In today's video, I want to highlight a particular album that I've always enjoyed by one of the most unique, perhaps eccentric female singer-songwriters, and that is this particular album, Musings of a Creek Dipper by Victoria Williams. And if you're not familiar with her, Victoria was born in Louisiana on December 23rd, I believe, 1958. And she grew up on a farm, and farm life, country life in general, factor heavily into her music and her songs. And, you know, she sings songs about farm life, carnivals, nature, you know, just generally, everyday life in the country, if you will. Her music is a blend of rock, gospel, pop, country, a little bit of jazz, and it's basically, she's a genuine, down-to-earth artist. She has a childlike innocence, and she has a somewhat unique voice. And, it's a little high-pitched. It's definitely quirky. Think Melanie doing olive oil while she sings Sheryl Crow songs. And it's actually, maybe that's an unfair assessment, but it's not bad. You get used to it. In fact, I'll be playing her music later, so you be the judge. But in any event, she released her first album, this one, called Happy Come Home, in 1987. Yes, 1987. And because of the eccentric sort of nature of her songs and her music, the record company didn't know how to market this, and it went largely unnoticed. Her second album, and this one I should say, includes her then husband Peter Case, who's a musician, T-Bone Burnett, and it has string arrangements by Van Dyke Parks. And Van Dyke Parks you may recognize as a collaborator with Brian Wilson in several fantastic Beach Boys songs, Surf's Up, Heroes and Villains, and others. And so, she had some famous support, if you will, on this album, as well as her second album. But her second album was released by an indie record company that went under shortly after the release. So while those albums got some critical acclaim, they didn't really get public recognition that she was hoping for. And then in 1992, she was touring with Neil Young when she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, MS. And at the time, she didn't really have the health insurance. She couldn't really pay her medical bills. So a number of friends and acquaintances got together. They recorded covers of her songs, some of which had not yet been released. And these were artists like Pearl Jam, Lucinda Williams, who's a country singer, and some others. And they put together a CD and released it. And it was basically for a benefit project called Sweet Relief, a benefit for Victoria Williams. And this this CD basically gave her some of that public exposure that the first two albums couldn't do. And it actually led to a record contract for her with Atlantic Records. And that, in fact, later that same year, as the benefit CD came out, led to the release of her third album, Loose. Sorry for the glare. And this album has a number of famous artists on it as well. Groups like REM, Soul Asylum. You had Tower of Power on this, and Mark Olson of the Jayhawks. And Mark would eventually become her second husband. And he would actually temporarily leave the Jayhawks to care for his wife. And if you haven't heard of the Jayhawks, they may very well be the best band you've never heard. I will be doing a future video on the Jayhawks, so stay tuned. But anyway, getting back to Victoria Williams. This album, coupled with the benefit album, really started to give her some exposure. And this includes a song called You Are Loved, which is probably my favorite Victoria Williams song. And I'm going to be playing that one later. It's not on on this album that I want to highlight, but I love it so much I'm going to put it on here anyway. It also includes Crazy Mary, and this might be one of her more popular albums. But again, not the one I want to highlight. My favorite is this, Musings of a Creek Dipper. And who doesn't like to dip their toes in a creek? This was released in 1998, and again, it's my favorite Victoria Williams album. This has all the quirkiness, the innocence, and the charm of Victoria Williams. It was produced by Victoria Williams and Trina Shoemaker, and this basically is an album that showcases the unique aspects of Victoria Williams. Her quirky lyrics, her quirky quirky music, the varied instrumentation that she uses. What a fantastic album this is. And you'll see on this CD, we've got a sundial. It says Sunny Hours, which could very well be the company that makes the sundial. Could very well be a statement that this only works during sunny hours. To me, it reeks of a positive message, subtle positive message from her. Sunny hours, much like the word yes that Yoko had up on the ceiling when John Lennon climbed that ladder and grabbed the magnifying glass, looked at it and thought, what a positive message. I see this as a positive message. And this whole album is basically a positive message, made all the more remarkable when you consider it's made by somebody who is facing the realities of a life with MS. But anyway, this starts out with the song Periwinkle Sky. Periwinkle Sky is a song that opens with a splash of cymbals. It basically has sounds of almost rolling thunder, if you will, and then it has broken chords of a piano, and you got to hear it to understand what I'm saying. But essentially, if you see here, the only instruments on this are piano, bass and cello, cornet, and drums. And a cornet is very similar to a trumpet. And Victoria is playing the piano on this particular song, and she's singing basically about clouds piling up high in the periwinkle sky, The waters are soft and brown. It looks like you can walk on it. Uh, again, somewhat quirky type of lyrics, but it's in her wheelhouse, you know. And she's basically wondering, am I gonna stay in this country, or am I going into the town and the busyness of the town? Um, but Absolutely fantastic way to start this album. The next song is called Rainmaker, and here now we're introducing guitar, electric guitars, acoustic guitars, um, a, a dulcimer, which is a dulcimer is like a stringed instrument that you would play with hammers as opposed to strumming it like a typical guitar, and tambourine. So we got much more instrumentation, and there's a certain warmth and empathy in her voice as she sings about what I think is essentially the it's sort of her giving recognition to the everyday people, the people in your life, the baker and the butcher, and it's a lovely song, you know. And next one is Cashmere's Corn, and this is much more country type of song. You've got banjo. I think she plays the banjo in this. Let me see. Yes, she plays the banjo in this one. Um, you've got pedal steel guitar. Absolutely fantastic song again. Fourth song, train song, The Demise of the Caboose. And this too might be a song that you may have heard. If you've heard any Victoria Williams, you may have heard Train Song. And here she's lamenting of the death of the caboose. She sings of and this one she actually prints her lyrics, which she doesn't usually do. But in the song, not only does she lament the death of the caboose, of the picturesque train, if you will, going through the countryside. And as a little girl, she's looking for the train. She sees the old man at the caboose, waving to her, and she waves back. But she also talks about her thoughts for a solar-powered train. So she wanted to get that across, and she added her lyrics. And basically, she's saying, when I was a little kid, I'd have to sit like most kids did, counting as the train cars passed, waiting for the very last. Oh, to see the old man wave in his overalls and his hair all gray and smiling in the sun. Nowadays, it ain't no use. There's no caboose. I can't understand how they can take the job from a kind old man, steal the joy from a young child's heart, just when it gets to the groovy part. Nowadays, it ain't no use. There's no caboose. Nobody else writes songs like this. I love it. I absolutely love it. And then you get on to song Last Word. And here she plays a Rhodes piano and what's it called? A kalimba, which is a little like thumb piano almost. And again, these are not the type of instruments you typically hear in your usual pop songs. Okay, you've also got coronet. Um, it's just fantastic, and basically she's asking here, who will bury the last man when he dies? And all the money in the world is not going to help you if the world's on fire, if everyone is dying, and what's the last word that anyone will ever say? Great song. Fantastic album. Whoops. Fantastic album. Nature Boy. Side note, some people used to call me Nature Boy when I was younger. I admit it, I was a Nature Boy. But anyway, Nature Boy is a cover of the Nat King Cole song, if you're familiar with that. So she does it, and again, she gives a somewhat quirky vocal performance, but it charms you. You know, it's Victoria at her finest. And then there are, you know, a lot of other highlights on here. She sings a song called Tree Song, Eucalyptus Lullaby. You know, nobody's singing a lullaby song to a eucalyptus tree. Let It Be So, which she wrote for her sister's wedding. Allergic Boy, basically about the the thoughts of parents of a child that has allergies. You know, she basically sings about, you know, the one parent, you know, all the parents go to pick up their child after a party, and one parent goes with, you know, sort of dreading what might have happened. Hummingbird, another fantastic song. You know, she's singing about, you know, who will find their hummingbird, and you know, she's asking, will you find your hummingbird? And by the end of it, she's confident that you will find your hummingbird. Again, very positive messages in these songs. There's one here called Grandpa in the Corn Patch. And yes, this is a song for her grandfather, her papa, I think she called him, in the cornfield. Again, I told you, farmland and country life, folks. And this has, you know, cello, viola, sousaphone, vibraphone, Chamberlain horns. Just, you know, it's again a quirky song. You know, she talks about chores. Nobody got bored with a pocket full of chores. And again, I'll be playing these later, so listen and enjoy. And then the last one is Blackbird's Rise. And, you know, again, she says here, did we? Yes, we did. Bring our instruments to the Shiloh Baptist Cemetery to play around Huddie Ledbetter's grave. Away from the others, I found an old overturned headstone, brushed it off, and the girl had passed 50 years before she was my age. There, child, don't you cry. Ain't it good to see a field of blackbirds rise? So, absolutely fantastic. Overall, like I said, it's a positive message that she gives, and considering that you know, she's living with MS, it's all the more powerful. So, let me play some of the songs from this particular album, and I'll see you on the other side.
kids did, counting as the train cars passed, waiting for the very last. Oh, to see the old man waving his overalls and his hair all gray, smiling in the sun. Nowadays it ain't no use, there's no caboose. Can't understand how they can take the job from a kind old man, steal the joy from a young child's heart just when it gets to the groovy part. Nowadays it ain't no use, there's no caboose. Strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. What is growing round? That might be good for you, that might be good for sound. It's a locust tree, it attracts lightning. It's the mimosa tree, lightning bugs, fireflies. And did you realize that the eucalyptus tree is making me lazy, keeping me sleepy? Is that old eucalyptus tree? What a beautiful day to say forever. Oh, let it be so. From here a path to take you both through any weather. Oh, let it be so. Happy we are all here to be together, share the love that you found. Backyard birthday party, pin the tail on the donkey, and there's pie for everybody. When it's time to pick up the kids, one mama does so with a sense of dread. Well, streets with you are not so blue. Could it be the thunder in my heart is a part of you? Who will find your hummingbird? Chores, got a pocket full of them. Chores, 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 chores. No one ever got bored with a pocket full of chores. Chores, 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 chores. Grandpa worked hard in those first days when he married Grandma, and every day thereafter, 'cause he was crazy about her. Took her everywhere that flowers grew. If you have friends in glory land who left because of pain, thank God up there they'll die no more. They'll suffer not again.
So that's it. Again, if you like different type of music, if you like different movies, if you like the movie Big Fish or Little Miss Sunshine, you'll love Victoria Williams. She's the musical equivalent of those movies. And this album and Loose are basically, I think, a good place to start if you enjoy listening to Victoria Williams. So getting back to Loose, I'm going to now play You Are Loved. Fantastic song. So I hope you enjoyed that. This pretty much wraps up the video. Stay well, friends, and remember, if the music strikes a chord, let it play.
I see trees of green and red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I say to myself, What a wonderful world.